we're back here. It's Chris and Zay back with the report card. We are here with a little Hulu movie that we decided to put on. It's called Watcher. So let's get into it real quick. I'll give you a quick synopsis of it really quickly. Pretty much this is just a young American actress moves with her husband to Bucharest in Romania and begins to suspect that a stranger who watches her from an apartment window may be a serial killer. What you think about this, Chris?
Overall, it was a very quick movie. Like, this is something, honestly, if you are someone, once again, this is one of those watches, hey, if you don't know what to, you just got food, you don't know what to put on, you can put on this. Like, I don't think it was it a phenomenal movie? No. Was it game breaking? No. Was it horrible?
It was kind of forgettable, but it
was a very slow burn. It was definitely a slow burn. Like, it was not something that was quick. You're intense. I'm thrilled by this. Like, no, it was very, kind of hits the ceiling at the end and that's it. Like, it's very slow.
I was wanting it to end while I was watching it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh,
That's just me specifically.
So,
what'd you like about this movie at least?
Honestly, the only thing to like was Julia's performance. That was basically it, which is obviously the main protagonist.
So Micah Monroe.
Because she could get her emotions across. I could feel her terror at some times. I could feel her, how scared she was. Like, obviously terror, fear. Like, I could feel all that. She definitely got them tears going through. That's the main thing I liked about it. I just wish her counterpart could have actually been worth a fuck.
Yeah, let me go ahead and attack this dude. Carl Glusman. Maybe the script was limited for you, or maybe this was just a different type of role for you, but man, he did not come. I don't know how you wanted the husband or the love interest to come across in this movie, but he was pretty much useless in this. And it really did piss me off because it was like, you could have done a lot with using him as not just as a protection for her, but eases her mind and her emotions. He really was useless. We didn't really see.
All we saw him was work and then be around his work friends.
He was coming in and leaving the apartment. But this is what really...
all he wanted to do was get drinks with her. That's all he ever wanted to do.
Exactly.
Let's get drinks. Let's smoke. Let's get drinks.
This movie felt empty. There were very big moments of it that felt empty in the story.
Besides Julia, that's it. Like,
so with Francis, that's Carl's name in the movie. Essentially,
that's her husband.
His only real acting that he was doing to her, his only real character trait was he was like the translator for her. I'm not gonna lie, because she didn't understand Romanian, and so when Francis's friends would come over and they're talking about work, and she's just sitting there, just kind of awkwardly looking for her husband to translate. He would sometimes translate well, and then other times he would just be like, "Oh, it's just nothing.
It's just work stuff. It's just work stuff."
Until finally she ended up learning what she needed to kind of interpret bits and parts of what he was saying.
Because she was learning the language, guys, so that of course she would she wanted to learn the language to surprise him. She was trying to surprise him, to be like, oh, like, look, I can talk it too. All for him to be such a shitty person. And so at the end, like you were saying,
they were at a party. So essentially they were at a party. And when it comes to this one, if it seems like we're skipping out of order, trust me, there is not much we are skipping.
Yeah, there's really not.
Huge portions of this movie that's like, we didn't need this. But they were at a party, and like I said,
I guess he wanted to get drinks.
Because he wanted to get drinks with his friends, and they're laughing time and time again. And of course, there is a story going around of the killer who's decapitating people, and so the friends are interested in this, and they're talking to Francis about it, but Francis is talking to them and they're joking.
They're calling him the spider, like the serial killer.
They're calling him the spider, and they're all laughing. And of course, Julia feels left out, and she's waiting for him to translate. And essentially, he's not saying anything. He's not translating. He's just keep talking to Romanian, and then she has to interject and go like, what'd you say? Like what's going on? What are you saying? And then he's like, oh, nothing. It's just a work joke. And then she's like, no, I want to know what you're saying. And then the friend is, enabling it, like, no, it's just a work joke. But then she really knows what they're saying, what did he end up saying?
It's like basically, well, I don't remember the verbatim of it, but it was basically like, oh, she's not alone. Like she has the spider to will keep her company. Like,
because essentially he views her as like this,
you're delusion, like you're
crazy, and also she's not working because she moved out here for him. She used to be an actress, so she's kind of changing it. So he looks so down on her.
Her,
like,
yeah.
oh, like you came
You're
out
bored.
here, you don't really know the language. I gotta translate for you, and now you're kind of going crazy because you're bored, and you think this guy's after you, but it's like you're not coming across as this protective man who's doing the least amount, which is,
and
I'm gonna at least show protection for her. I'll get into that.
The reason why I love Julia's character is because she says exactly, well, besides one instance when I was like, oh, this is an L for a girl take, I don't know what we're doing here, but I appreciated Julia always telling her husband. She always told him, I think the man across the street is looking in here. You can only see him when it's dark. He constantly is looking in here. She told him that the first time. They end up getting curtains. Very happy about that. And they never get curtains in movies like this. They never do. It's like they don't exist in the movie or wherever they're at.
Drapes was actually pretty surprising.
And then also, she kept telling him, I feel scared. He never once, her husband, Francis, never once was like, do you want me to walk you places? Do you want me to go out to the grocery store from here on out? Do you maybe want to just order stuff? Do you want to maybe have a special knock on the door so you know it's me? Like any type of anything to make her feel more safe and comfortable. He didn't. He just kept going, I'm sorry, I've been working so much. Oh, I gotta go to work.
Essentially, her as a woman, she had a big, strong man to protect her, which is what he called himself after the first incident of her being stared at and feeling uncomfortable. He was like, oh, we got a big, strong man to protect you. It's very cringe. I almost wanted to turn it off by that point because I was like, who even writes this and says this in real life? But it completely backfired on me because of how the movie ended. But I did notice that Julia found more protection and comfortability with Irina in the movie. Madalena Anea, she played Irina in the movie. She was just her next door neighbor who had kind of like a crazy ex, and she could, she kind of like kept the crazy ex away for a moment, and
he wasn't even that crazy. He was a nice guy. To a certain, we know.
Yeah, to her, she wasn't crazy to Julia, but she was crazy to Irina. But she was there to talk to her, and also she didn't shun her away just because she didn't know Romanian. Of course, you're in a new country, so of course Julia was great at acting, of showing how almost vulnerable and just weird you feel in a different country when you don't know the language. Like, I'm sorry, like you're being yelled at by the tenant, or by by one of the other people in the place. You're being yelled at by them because they're just trying to find their cat, but you don't know what's going on because they're completely speaking a different language. So it was nice that when Julia first met Irina, she was just like, hey, she was just sweet. Like, hey, you want to get some drinks?
Because she said she was in the same position before.
Bingo.
When she couldn't even speak English, but she had to learn, and so no one really,
yeah. Unfortunately, as we run into Watcher/Weber, who's played by Bern Gorman.
His name is literally Bern.
His name is.
That's
Bern
crazy.
Gorman,
Your name is Bern.
Yeah, he is the one who looks across the hall at her all the time. We just got to get out the way first. Rest in peace, Irina. So unfortunately, she dies.
But you know what? The good thing about the Watcher, though, is that he played it very smart. But guys, we do have to go back into a very ignorant scene.
Yeah, let's address it. Let's get it out the way.
There was a scene with Francis and Julia, obviously the main character, husband and wife, and literally she said, so she calls the police. She goes, I'm calling the police. I don't feel safe. And then plus she did have Irina's man at one point go over there.
I am so sorry. This is right after. So she had went out to the movie theaters. And it's an empty theater, which of course this is very.
It's just a couple,
creepy.
and then one lady, and then like a random guy that was still staring at her, and then another guy.
In an empty theater, you're like, hey, nobody's.
Five
really
people.
Around me.
Five.
And right into the middle of the theater in the movie, the guy Weber, he sits behind her. The guy that she suspects is
watching her.
From watching her. So he sits right behind her. Of course, she gets up. Just feeling that weirdness. Like he leans over and kind of like breathes behind her, and she gets up and leaves. She goes to the
grocery store across the street,
and she sees him right then afterwards. And every time she moves a little bit, he moves a little bit following her, until finally she bumps into the wall, knocks over some pickles, and then she goes to the back and she's viewing him from the back, where like the staff are and whatnot.
This is when, guys, I couldn't stand her. I said, please kill him at any cost. Kill this man. Because so she ends up getting startled so much by this man because she's so scared. This is when I said she was an L girl, because I would go immediately where other people are. I would not go in the back. But also she could think maybe there's workers back there. I'm okay. I'm hidden. She's just trying to.
There was a worker back.
And she just tries to hide. she just tries to hide, right? A pickle juice jar was spilled. I'm surprised no one else came back there. Only the Watcher man came back there, right?
He came over weirdly.
And he came over there because she saw, because it's not like this man is made up. She's imagining things. I was very happy about that. I was like, please don't let her be, don't let this be psychological.
Yeah.
Don't let it be psychological. The man comes back and he's just literally he's just being creepy, stepping on the glass, looking at like the pickles, and then looking back at her. And then, so remember, guys, so she has told her husband this, and he goes, okay, let's go see if they have cameras. And I said, okay, that's fair. Me and Zay both gave him props. Okay, we're at least gonna go. Like, we're at least he's trying something. He's not just saying, "Are you okay?" Because clearly she's not.
Rude and mean to her because she didn't know the language and they think she's being hysterical.
But they end up coming back, and like they speak they speak Romanian, and then they end up going and seeing the cameras, right? So on the cameras you can see the man, you can see she's exactly right. She said she literally told her husband exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened on the camera. Her husband dead ass looks at her and goes, well, she goes, look, don't you guys see he's staring at me? Her husband goes, well, maybe he's staring at the woman staring at him.
That's when I was like,
I said, and you can fuck off.
With that type of man, but it's like, of course you write him that way so that it just puts more of like a bleakness on her mind.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he's not even just gonna believe me straight up just because. Be along with your partner for it, especially because they are in a new place. To you, it's normal because you're in. Yeah. Well, not being stalked, but to you, like you're in a place you're comfortable.
Go with you've known, yeah.
Bucharest. She's in a new place, so it's like if she's being followed and you see it on camera, that's more than enough. That's way more than enough. It's creepy.
And she's scared. She's crying. Like, she looks so scared when you come home.
So then after this, now let's get into when she actually has to call the police to go in, because she's had enough by this point.
Okay, so she does call the I'm gonna go through hers kind of quickly because El Cop, once again, I would be pissed. I would actually need to move because but anyways, so they're talking to the cops. She's telling him, like, the whole story. She's just like, hey, this man across is, weird or whatever. They just get her statement, whatever. She just explains basically what we've been telling you about in the movie. Even though, like I did tell Zay earlier, I was like, she doesn't really have anything to go off of. You can't complain because someone sat behind you, and you can't complain because someone was in the same grocery store as you. You literally cannot. You do look like a crazy person, but also who should believe you is your husband. But look at that. Now the police and her husband go over to the man's apartment. Guys, why do we hear nothing about it? She literally comes, so only the husband comes back, not even the cop. The cop does not come back, and I said, okay, well, whatever, I digress. Maybe the cop had something else to do.
This is so crazy when we watched it.
Literally, he comes back in, and then he literally just starts gaslighting her. Literally just starts doesn't say anything about who he met, what was going on, what they talked about, who was there, what the place looked like.
She asked him multiple times.
She goes, what happened? What did you see? Who was there? Asking these actual questions that she's scared from, and he's just like, Julia, maybe you're seeing things.
No, the dumbest thing is he said, Julia, just listen to me for a second. What the fuck? What are we talking?
What the fuck did you see?
Did you see him or not? Did you fight him? Did you yell at him? And this is when I thought, hey, maybe the movie's gonna do a twist and maybe he's in on it. And and it's a longer
because it did seem like that, because it was
that dense.
Yeah, because I was like, it has to be, because I'm like, why would you do that? But guys, this is where I say El Cop, because the cop was just asking questions. Like I said, she didn't have anything warranted to go off of, so I understand why he was like, okay, what? Like, you're looking at this man just as much as he's looking at you. So what are you talking about?
Because you were stalking.
But later on, this man is still so the Watcher is still creepy no matter what. Like, the Watcher is still creepy. But it's like, as time goes on, he keeps working more, staying out of the house, doesn't really help her. But then, big twist is that the Watcher actually reports her to the police.
Yep.
And so the police comes over. This is when I said El Cop. Regardless or not, whoever's in the right or wrong, you are never supposed to be doing that. Why would you if I just told you 2 weeks ago or 2 days ago, I'm scared of that man across from me, why are you bringing that man directly to my house? Why would you do that? I'm like, no one would do that. You would get statements separately, or you'd have two separate cops getting statements.
And that was the first time that we had seen his face fully, which I thought was a nice reveal in the movie. That was a good moment, because it was like, it was kind of like this eerie, like, we haven't seen your face at all. Yeah. So now that we like see you in clear day, it's like, you really do look
creepy.
You really do look like what I would expect you to look like this creamy.
And she was following, and she was creamy. She was
Creepy, I did
seeing
not
him
mean
though.
creepy.
She was seeing him like on trains. She was seeing him. She was kind of stalking him. She did go a little nuts. She was following him throughout the day. She was seeing what his routines were. So then it's like it's easier for him to build a case. Like, this woman's been following me. Like, I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Yeah.
So
then she has to take. So then she has to take
Matt
with another
Jones.
man because Irina's ex. Who looks like Seth
And
Rollins.
Irina does know about this man too. She did tell Irina. She
Yep.
told a friend.
And Irina's ex, who kind of looks like Seth Rollins, but a little bit smaller. She catches him at the door, banging on the door, and then essentially Julia has this good plan of being like, okay, I'm gonna bring. Fuck it, if my husband can't do shit, I'm gonna bring this guy with me to go.
Yeah,
see
he's
him,
a big. He's a big dude. Yeah.
And so she brings him over. He's banging on the door. He's doing what I would expect a husband to do, which is knocking at the door, trying to get the attention. The door won't open. It won't open. And then he finally is banging on the door and telling and like yelling at him, like, leave her alone. Like,
yeah.
let her go. He has to leave, of course. But I did like that you had that. Which, like I said, it did make me look at the husband like, dude, you're useless. You couldn't even do this. Or you could have told us that you did that with the police officer.
But you didn't. We
like
know
I
he
said,
didn't.
It was just a wasted opportunity. So, anyways, he's gone and whatever. He doesn't die, which I'm very happy for.
Yeah, I am.
We don't see him again after that. But I'm glad that he did what. That's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum you should do as a man, especially if you're just trying to make sure a woman's okay. Anyway, needless besides that, she ends up going. She just couldn't let it go. It's this ick. She's gotta know who's
she
in
gotta
there.
know who's. Yeah.
She goes to the door, and then Weber's father opens it up, and then she just starts backing away because she feels bad. Like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, it's this old man. What's going on? I don't really know. And then, oh god.
And that was that was the Watcher's perfect little thing, because it's like, oh good, I've made her break now. They've been aggressive towards us. Now I can report her. So that did happen before.
And you're messing with their mind too, because it's like, why is this older man in here? Like, I guess he takes care of his dad. How can he be this weird if he's doing this? It's kind of changing how he is perceived to her. So yeah, also, what had happened after this is after that scene, at this point, she kind of feels a little bit like...
This is after the cop. Yeah, because this is when the cop confronted her, brought the man to her house.
So then she ends up getting on the train. Weber just sits across from her. She's already on high alert because she's just looking around like, if she sees him like a couple of seats away, and she just like looks at him, looks down, then looks back up, and he's just like right across from her talking to her. And he pretty much like talks to her and tells her about himself and what he's going through and like I gotta take care of my dad, and I had this guy, you had this guy kind of banging on my door. It's kind of like his way of gaslighting her. Like but he's doing this in this calm.
You watch me, and then plus she did wave at one point, so he's thinking.
That was another thing I had missed. She wasn't just looking at him through the window. She
wanted to make sure, like, is this guy actually looking at me? Because she was like, he's not looking at me. So that's why she raised her hand. It wasn't even really a wave. She literally raised her hand to see if he would mimic it. And then he did. And then he goes, oh, I thought you were saying hi. Because I was like, girl, that is a bad way of looking at it, because now you literally
he used it against her.
Yeah, because it's like you were waving. You're staring at him and you're waving. So.
Yeah, he was using everything she was doing pretty much against, which I thought was a fine scene. Which is why I think Weber, that's a good way to just write a menacing, calculated villain. He's just gonna keep one-upping you. Yeah. Like, you keep thinking that you're ahead and you're protecting yourself. He's already got it all planned out, which does lead to her going over. She ends up hearing Irina
scream.
Irina scream after she had already visited her.
Because Irina has been missing too. So for all we know, he might have kidnapped her and then.
Because she had followed him. Yeah, of course. Because like we said, when Julia was following Weber, she had followed him into where like Irina works, which is she's like this dancer who's in a box. It's kind of like how they have it. It's
the red room.
Yes, like the red light district. Like you have people dancing and you just kind of like observe them and whatnot, and you can take them back into other rooms for whatever. But anyways, that's why Irina works. That's what she tells Julia about how she knows of the guy, and so she ends up hearing Irina in her apartment because they're neighbors for the first time since she's been missing. And she goes into the room and oh Lord, we just see Irina decapitated,
which is what the spider was doing to a lot of women anyway.
Yeah, which is what was on the news, and it's just like, damn. And the crazy thing is, like, when she went in there earlier in the movie with all the other
he was in the closet.
He was in the closet. Like, that's another thing. Is like he was telling her essentially when Weber had caught her and she was just like bleeding out. He had already messed her up by this point. It wasn't even a fight. It was just
Yeah, it
he's
wasn't.
just
She
calculated.
screamed. She screamed and he got her.
Calculated, y'all. He knows what he's on. He had told her. He said, "Wow, like I could have swore you would have seen me when you brought all those people in here to look for Irina, like in the closet, because it's like Julia could know he was in the closet, but she didn't take advantage of that. She didn't go to the closet to go get him. He essentially told her, he's like, oh, how awkward would that have been? He was good at playing creepy, just this weird force that doesn't.
And she did go to Irina's place of work because once again she was following the man and he was there, like I guess sweeping the floors or something.
Yeah, so. He worked as the janitor there or whatnot. So.
And then Irina's like, I don't know, like people come and go in here all the time. Like she would never.
The same to me. So it built up to this final moment where essentially Julia was about to get the gun in Irina's coffee table that she'd seen earlier from when she had hung out, but she's bleeding out, and we think she's dead. Like, she just dies, bleeds out right next to him. He's laying next to her, and so the last thing
because at one point she was trying to hit the wall because she knows her and Irina can communicate through the walls. So she's like, if I'm ever making too much noise, like bang on the wall. And plus she knows it's very apparent here because she goes, can you hear me? And then she's like, no, can you hear me? And plus she even went over there because of the loud music.
And so essentially how the movie wraps up is Weber thinks that he's getting away with it like how he normally would feel like it. I already decapitated this woman, and now this woman who's on to me, I've taken care of her. So he, zips up his jacket and he starts to leave, except the husband.
No, wait, but before that, people had also saw him. He is being watched now because so many people saw him do it. So he's kind of honestly fucked. Like, regardless of the husband or not.
There was, because
remember, guys, they can see each other, like, they can see each other through these apartments. So they clearly probably have heard some stuff. I mean, it wasn't really, like I said, it really wasn't a fight, but it's like they were all looking at him. So he's just like, trying to clean up, what he can, or maybe do his normal killer routine. But other people could see him too. But maybe it's like they can't identify him,
exactly,
or maybe things like that.
It's, you
don't know what's real.
Exactly,
Is this a game or
what's really in there? And so the husband notices, the husband came back home from the party that she had left him from, and then she catches him. She catches Weber coming out of Irina's apartment. And then he's about to confront him, and I think he's about to beat him up. And
the whole reason why he even found out is because remember he was calling Julia and her phone was ringing on the other side. Because like I said, guys, they can hear each other. They can hear so then he's like, she's over there. Okay, let me just because he's probably thinking she's with Irina, like the girl that
drinking or something. Let me go see if I can get her back, even though I was talking shit about her.
Yeah, that was just such a horrible. Like before we concluded, like that was just such a horrible scene to watch because I'm like. First of all, there's an actual, this isn't a joke, like there's an actual serial killer who's out here killing women that look just like your wife.
He was about to try to, let me redeem myself and let me beat up this guy, but
he's like, hey.
Right when he was about to walk away, Weber gets shot up by Julia herself.
Yeah.
What a twist at the end. Don't get me wrong, that was the only part of the movie I was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I thought
she was dead. She was still moving,
dead.
But it did kind of seem like she's like.
I thought she was dead. And like I said, he already did this weird killer shit. He was laying next to her. And I thought, he's dancing on the grave now. I'm like, he got her and it's too easy. And she did look like and it just looked like the movie was telling you, like, believe your partner when they tell you when they tell you that they're worried about something. Because Francis, he backs up, and then you see, she's walking out with the gun. She puts the gun down so she was able to get it at the coffee table. And the movie just ends with a slow shot of Julia looking at her partner and also kind of looking at us like, believe me. Believe when they tell you that something creepy is going on.
Or at least that's why I said, that's fine. Hey, babe. And you know what? Gaslighting 101. Whenever she's like, I want you to believe me. He goes, what are you going to do? We're going to go to a hotel or something? Yeah.
All you have to say is, I do believe you. But let's get into the rating of this movie. As it was. What did we give this movie? You tell us, Chris.
We gave it a C.
We gave it a C.
I mean, it's all right. Like
a C minus.
It's all right.
Because the thing is, it wasn't a waste of time. The husband really, like I said, if you actually had like a good, actual, meaningful, caring husband, it probably would have been better because it could have been more intense and things like that. But
that's all we really wanted to say about it. Like we said, we wouldn't suggest for you to watch it because there's nothing really that we took away from it besides it could have just been better. But that's our thoughts on Watcher. We hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later.